Heartbreak hits like a storm you never saw coming. One moment she's there, warm, laughing, saying she'll never leave. And then suddenly, silence. You check your phone more than you'd ever admit. You scroll through old messages, wondering how it all changed so fast. Her absence isn't just emotional, it's physical. You feel it in your chest, your breath, your thoughts. Every song, every corner of your life carries her ghost. That's the hardest part of love, the withdrawal. Not from her body, but from the illusion of control. You thought love meant connection, but she taught you something else. Love can become dependency, and dependency is the root of pain. But here's what the Stoics knew. The power to reverse everything begins not when you chase, but when you detach. When Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events," he wasn't speaking about philosophy. He was talking about survival. When a woman leaves, she expects chaos from you. She expects weakness, desperation, emotion. She expects you to lose yourself. That's what most men do. They react, they plead, they text. They break their own dignity, trying to restore what's already dead. But the Stoic man does something radically different. He goes silent. He withdraws completely, not to manipulate, but to reclaim his center. He understands that attraction dies in noise, but grows in mystery. That emotional chasing repels, while composure attracts. The Stoic trick that makes her beg for you back isn't about words or games or pretending not to care. It's about real control. It's about detaching your energy from the external and investing it entirely inward, into discipline, stillness, self-respect, and calm. Because the moment you stop trying to win her back is the moment she feels your absence like gravity. Your silence becomes her mirror, forcing her to see what she lost. So if you're heartbroken right now, understand this. You don't get her back by chasing. You get her back by becoming the man she no longer believes exists, calm, confident, untouchable. You show her, through silence and focus, that you no longer need her validation to feel whole. That's when the shift happens. That's when her mind begins to turn. Because no woman can resist the mystery of the man who no longer seeks her approval. So if you're ready to turn pain into presence, heartbreak into power, silence into strength, then like this video, subscribe to Stoic Blessing, and comment below, "I withdraw to regain my power." The Stoic trick that changes everything isn't revenge. It isn't pretending not to care. It's withdrawal, total, deliberate, and absolute. When she walked away, she didn't just leave physically. She took your attention, your emotion, your energy. And energy is power. The more of it you gave her, the weaker you became. Because wherever attention flows, emotion grows. And right now, your mind keeps feeding what's already gone. That ends today. Marcus Aurelius said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." When your thoughts orbit around someone who no longer values you, you hand them control over your reality. But when you withdraw, when you pull that energy back into yourself, you start starving the attachment that enslaves you. Withdrawal is the moment the power dynamic flips. You go silent, you stop watching, you stop chasing, you stop explaining yourself. You vanish into calm discipline. You become what she never expected. Still, at first she'll think it's temporary. She'll assume you'll break, that your silence is just a reaction. But as the days pass and you remain detached, no messages, no posts, no displays of pain, her certainty begins to crack. She starts wondering, why isn't he reaching out? Has he moved on? Did I misjudge him? And that's when she begins to feel the loss. Not because of manipulation, but because your energy no longer sustains her ego. She's now forced to confront the vacuum your absence created. This is the paradox of power. The more you pull away, the more gravity you gain. Because women don't fall for words, they fall for presence. And when your presence disappears completely, she realizes what she took for granted. Withdrawal doesn't mean coldness. It means redirection. You stop pouring energy into her and start pouring it into you. Into the gym, into your craft, into silence, reading, mastery, rebuilding. Your aura changes, your focus sharpens, your calm deepens. That's when something subtle happens. She feels it. Women have an intuitive radar for energy. They can sense when a man's spirit changes, when his obsession turns into detachment. Your silence will echo louder than her words ever could. The Stoics called this apatheia, not apathy, but mastery over emotion. It's not about feeling nothing. It's about feeling everything and choosing to remain unshaken. The moment you stop chasing her, she begins chasing the feeling you used to give. Because you no longer orbit around her, she starts orbiting around the silence you left behind. So understand this. The trick isn't to make her jealous or to prove your worth. It's to remove her from the throne of your mind, to reclaim that sacred energy and use it to build the man she can't reach anymore, because he no longer exists for her approval. And when that happens, she'll feel it. Not because you told her, but because your silence became undeniable. Silence is not the absence of communication. It's the highest form of it. Because while words can be ignored, silence demands interpretation. And when a man goes silent, it echoes inside her mind louder than any message ever could. You see, when you speak, she hears your emotion. But when you go silent, she's left alone with hers. The Stoics understood this well. They knew that silence is not weakness, it's strategy. Seneca said, "Anger, if not restrained, is more hurtful to us than the injury that provokes it." In the same way, speech without control destroys your value faster than heartbreak ever could. When she walked away, she expected to hear the chaos she created, your pleading, your frustration, your confusion. That reaction feeds her ego. It confirms her importance. But when she hears nothing, she starts questioning everything. Silence is a mirror. It forces her to face herself. Every unanswered text, every moment of quiet becomes a reflection of her decision. She starts to feel what you once felt: uncertainty, curiosity, loss. Psychologically, silence triggers something deep. It disrupts her sense of control. People crave closure, feedback, certainty. When you remove all three, the mind begins to spiral. She replays your composure. She remembers your tone. She wonders what you're thinking. And the mystery becomes magnetic. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Be tolerant with others and strict with yourself." That's what silence is. Discipline disguised as detachment. You don't lash out, you don't explain, you don't argue. You simply stand tall in your absence, knowing your composure is saying everything. Here's the truth. Words are cheap. Silence is rare. Every man can speak. Few can stay silent. Every man can argue. Few can observe quietly. Every man can say he's moved on. Only a Stoic can prove it without uttering a word. And it's in that quiet strength that attraction is reborn. Not because you're playing games, but because you're radiating mastery. Women feel drawn to the man who doesn't need to explain himself, the one who can face rejection, betrayal, or loss and remain still. Your silence becomes her obsession because it shows something she didn't expect: control. And control is the rarest, most attractive quality a man can possess. So don't post, don't call, don't explain. Let your stillness do the talking, because in a world where everyone screams to be heard, the one who stays silent holds all the power. Remember, the man who speaks to prove himself loses respect. The man who stays silent to protect his peace earns it. There's a moment, quiet, subtle, but undeniable, when everything shifts. When the one who once held the power begins to feel the loss. That moment is what I call the law of value reversal. When she walked away, she felt certain. Certain you'd chase, certain you'd break, certain you'd wait for her return. But when you went silent, when you vanished with calm instead of chaos, she didn't see strength right away. At first, she thought it was pride, ego, a temporary act. But days pass, then weeks, and your silence doesn't crumble. Your composure doesn't crack. That's when her certainty starts to fracture, because in every relationship there's an invisible scale of value. And when she left, it tipped. She felt desired, you felt desperate. But the moment you detach, the scale begins to rebalance. Your silence forces her to question her worth in your eyes. And once that doubt enters her mind, the power she once held starts to fade. Marcus Aurelius said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." When your thoughts change, when you stop thinking like the wounded and start thinking like the warrior, your entire energy changes color. You go from reactive to radiant, from desperate to detached, from emotional to unshakable. She feels that. Your absence becomes presence, your detachment becomes mystery, and mystery always draws curiosity, because she's no longer certain who you are without her. That's how the law of value reversal works. You stop feeding her ego and it starves. You stop seeking her attention and it withers. And while she tries to move on, she starts to remember the version of you she once admired, now magnified by your silence. This is where most men fail. They can't handle the space. They break their silence just to feel seen again. But the Stoic man doesn't break. He understands that the longer he remains calm, the more power he regains, because silence is time multiplied by dignity, and dignity is irresistible. The truth is, women rarely regret the man who loses control. They regret the one who never did. They regret the man who stayed composed, silent, focused. The one who disappeared without bitterness and returned as a stronger, colder, higher version of himself. That's when the texts come, the likes, the soft, "I miss you" messages. It's not random. It's the universe restoring balance, because your energy withdrew and now she's the one chasing its gravity. You flipped the scale. You reversed the value. You stopped proving your worth, and that made her question hers. Remember this. When you detach from needing to be chosen, you become the choice. When you stop chasing love, love starts chasing you. And when you stop trying to prove your value, the world begins to notice it on its own. There's something almost mystical that happens when a man fully detaches. Not coldness, not numbness, but transformation. Your energy, once scattered, anxious, desperate, begins to condense into pure focus. Your presence changes, your face looks calmer, your eyes look sharper, your silence starts to vibrate differently. This is what I call the alchemy of detachment, the invisible process of turning heartbreak into power. You see, emotions are energy. Every ounce of pain, longing, and obsession is raw fuel waiting to be transmuted. The weak man wastes it through chasing, venting, breaking silence, seeking pity. The Stoic man harnesses it. He channels it into stillness, into creation, into strength. He understands that detachment is not about rejecting emotion, it's about mastering it. Marcus Aurelius said, If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your judgment of it. That's alchemy in motion. You stop judging pain as suffering and start seeing it as instruction. You realize she didn't leave to destroy you. She left to reveal you. And the man you become through that process, different, dangerous. Because you've turned what should have broken you into the very thing that forged you. Your detachment becomes magnetic because it's rare. Most men crumble under emotion. Few know how to transmute it into self-respect. When you walk into a room after heartbreak and people feel you're calm, that's the glow of detachment. It's not arrogance. It's equilibrium. It's power without needing to prove. She'll sense it too. A woman's intuition is sharp. She feels when your energy changes, when your silence stops being a tactic and becomes truth, when your eyes no longer seek her, but look right through her, not in anger, but in peace. That's when she realizes she lost something far greater than attention. She lost access to your essence, because energy doesn't lie. You can fake indifference for a week, but real detachment has a frequency, calm, heavy, grounded. It can't be imitated. It's felt. This is the heart of the Stoic path. You learn to love without attachment, to care without dependence, to give without losing yourself. That's the highest form of strength, not needing anything, yet appreciating everything. When you reach that level, you no longer hope she returns. You know that if she does, it's because your silence became gravity. And if she doesn't, you've already won, because you no longer need her validation to feel powerful. Your energy becomes your empire. Your peace becomes your throne. And your detachment, your unshakable calm, becomes the crown she'll never forget. When you withdraw, when you master silence, when you stop chasing, something fascinating happens. You stop being the reflection of her emotions, and she starts being the reflection of yours. This is what the Stoics would call the mirror effect. At first she felt powerful leaving you. Her ego was fed by your reaction, the messages, the pain in your voice, the sadness in your eyes. But when you went still, when you stopped reacting, stopped pleading, stopped explaining, the mirror flipped. Your calmness becomes her chaos. Your peace becomes her punishment. Your silence becomes her storm. Because silence doesn't just remove your presence, it replaces it with reflection. She starts to wonder why you're not broken, why you're not chasing, why you seem at peace while she's the one replaying memories. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." And that's the essence of this mirror. When she expected anger and you gave her stillness, when she expected tears and you gave her composure, you created confusion in her emotional system. And confusion breeds curiosity. Curiosity becomes obsession. Your silence becomes the mirror in which she finally sees herself. Not the version she presented to you, but the truth underneath. The guilt, the doubt, the wondering if she misjudged you. And that is where the regret begins. But you're not doing this to manipulate her emotions. You're doing it to master yours. Because when you reach the point where your peace no longer depends on her response, you've already won. She'll try to provoke a reaction, a message, a post, a rumor. Don't take the bait. That's the test. That's her trying to regain the power your silence took away. But you, the Stoic, remain composed. You let her see herself through the mirror of your calm. Seneca once said, "He who is brave is free." And this is what that means. The courage to do nothing when your ego demands you do everything. The strength to remain still when your emotions scream for release. Because the man who can stand in stillness while others drown in noise, that man controls reality. You are that man now. Your silence isn't passive, it's reflective. It forces her to feel what you've already overcome. And when she finally looks into that mirror, she won't just see herself. She'll see the calm, composed, centered man she lost. And in that moment, her pride will fall silent too. Pain can destroy you, or it can refine you. The difference lies in how you hold it. Most men try to escape pain. They distract themselves, numb themselves, drown their emotions in noise, pleasure, or validation. But the Stoic warrior knows pain avoided is pain multiplied. The only way to conquer it is to face it. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." That's the key. The pain isn't the obstacle, it's the path. When you're heartbroken, you stand at the doorway of transformation. That ache in your chest, that silence in your room, that emptiness in your mornings. Those are not signs of defeat. They're signals that your soul is rearranging itself. You're being stripped of illusion. You're being forced to rebuild. But this time, you'll build different. This time, the foundation will be discipline, not dependency. Focus, not fantasy. Peace, not pursuit. Pain is the fire that burns away weakness. It melts the version of you that needed external love to feel worthy, and from that molten state, the real man emerges, forged, calm, unbreakable. Seneca said, "Fire tests gold, adversity tests brave men." So don't run from this heartbreak. Train inside it. Every time you want to reach out to her, do push-ups instead. Every time your mind spirals, pick up a book. Every time loneliness creeps in, meditate in silence until it passes. You're not avoiding the pain. You're absorbing it, learning from it, turning it into strength. Because what breaks most men builds the Stoic. And here's the secret. Once you've truly transformed, once the pain has done its work, you'll look in the mirror and no longer see the man who was abandoned. You'll see the man who was reborn, a man whose peace no one can shake, whose energy no one can drain, whose worth no one can define. That's the Stoic transformation, not pretending you don't feel pain, but mastering it so deeply that it becomes your power source. Pain turns from a curse into a compass. It points you toward the discipline, focus, and self-respect that no woman could ever give you, because it was always yours to begin with. And when she finally sees that version of you, calm, grounded, thriving, she'll realize she didn't just lose a man. She lost her mirror of greatness. So don't wish for the pain to stop. Thank it, because it's making you into everything you were meant to be. There comes a moment, not on the day you stop missing her, but on the day your energy changes. It's quiet, internal, almost invisible. The desperation fades. The anxiety dissolves. You stop checking your phone, not because you're forcing yourself not to, but because you genuinely don't care anymore. That's when the universe flips the script. This is what I call the return of power. It's the moment your detachment starts to echo, and she begins to feel the void. At first, your silence frustrated her. Then it confused her. Now it bothers her. Because she's realizing something no one wants to admit. She expected your world to stop when she left. But it didn't. It kept moving. And not only did it move, it improved. She sees it. The new calm in your eyes. The way you walk slower, talk less, and carry yourself like a man who no longer seeks. There's no anger, no bitterness, no performance. Just composure, quiet, grounded power. That's when the regret begins to whisper in her mind. Marcus Aurelius said, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." And that's exactly what you've become, her opposite. While she runs from silence, you live in it. While she seeks attention, you master solitude. While she tries to replace what she lost, you evolve beyond what she remembers. And now, your absence has a pulse, your energy has weight, your calm has gravity. She starts to remember the things she once overlooked, your steadiness, your presence, your loyalty. But it's too late, because you're not waiting anymore. The return of power happens when the energy she took for granted stops flowing toward her and begins radiating from you. It's when the balance shifts from chasing to attracting, from needing to being needed, from seeking to commanding. Understand this: the most powerful thing you can do is not to make her miss you. It's to become the kind of man who no longer notices if she does. Because indifference, when born from peace, is irresistible. You're not trying to punish her. You're simply showing her, through silence and elevation, that you were never dependent, only distracted. Now that your energy is self-contained, you've become something she can feel but can't reach. And that's when curiosity becomes craving. She'll look at your calm and wonder what changed. She'll sense your distance and feel her control slipping. That's not magic. That's consequence. The world always responds to energy, and yours just became sovereign. This is the power she never expected. The power of emotional freedom. Because the man who doesn't chase isn't cold. He's magnetic. And the man who doesn't seek love attracts it naturally. So when she feels that emptiness, don't fill it. Let her. Because that silence she gave you, you've turned it into power she can't match. Here's the final test, the part where most men fail. After weeks of calm, control, and detachment, she finally reaches out. A text, a story view, a subtle, "Hey." And in that instant, your mind betrays you. You think, she misses me. Maybe this means something, but the Stoic knows better. This is the trap. The moment you break your silence first, you lose every ounce of progress you built. Because silence is not a game, it's a declaration of power. It says, "I have found peace without you." And if you speak too soon, you tell her, that peace was a lie. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Hold fast to your principles as if they were your life." Silence is one of those principles. It's your shield, your discipline, your respect for yourself. Breaking it out of emotion is self-betrayal, because once you've reclaimed your power, you never return to begging for it again. She might test you. She might post things meant to pull you back in. She might use curiosity, guilt, or nostalgia to lure your response. But every time you resist, your silence grows stronger. Every time you don't reply, your value doubles. Remember, when she reaches out, it's not always love. Sometimes it's control. Sometimes it's curiosity. Sometimes it's just her trying to see if you're still emotionally available to her. And when you respond too quickly, you confirm it. You were waiting. The Stoic man doesn't wait. He observes, he measures, he decides from logic, not longing. If her message is light, vague, or testing, you do nothing, because silence is its own response. If she genuinely reaches out with accountability, with vulnerability, with effort, you still take your time. Because power is not gained in how fast you move. It's gained in how calm you remain. Seneca said, "He who is brave is free." And bravery, in this moment, means resisting the pull of comfort for the sake of mastery. Because she will feel your silence long after she forgets your words. The trap is thinking silence is temporary. It's not. It's your new standard. It's the language of men who no longer beg for closure because they've already given it to themselves. So never break silence first. Let her come to you. Let her earn access to your energy again. because the man who speaks first loses the game, but the man who waits in peace becomes the one she can't stop thinking about. You've done what most men never have the strength to do. You took heartbreak and turned it into rebirth. You didn't chase, you didn't fold, you didn't lose yourself trying to prove your worth. You withdrew, rebuilt, and rose in silence. Now, the game has changed. She might reach out, she might wonder what happened to the man she left, but the truth is, he's gone. You buried him in the fire and walked out as something greater. The irony? She might beg for your attention again, but the Stoic doesn't crave validation, not even from the one who hurt him. Because once you've tasted the calm of self-control, external approval feels empty. You no longer need her apology. You no longer need her to regret. You've already turned her absence into strength. Marcus Aurelius said, "Look well into yourself. There is a source of strength which will always spring up if you will always look there." That's what you've done. You stopped searching for healing in someone else and found it in your own stillness. You don't want her to beg anymore, not because you've given up, but because you've grown past needing it. Her regret may come, but you'll meet it with calm. Because when you reach true Stoic composure, revenge turns into indifference. You don't rise to get her back. You rise so high that her return no longer matters. This is the final level of detachment. Freedom. Freedom from the past. Freedom from obsession. Freedom from needing anyone to validate your worth. And that's where the real power begins. Because now, when she looks at you, the stillness, the focus, the quiet strength, she won't see the man she left. She'll see the man she can never reach again. That's the Stoic victory. No begging, no chasing, no proving, just evolution, just power, just peace. So if this message resonated with you, if you're done being reactive, if you're ready to rise in silence and reclaim your throne, like this video, subscribe to Stoic Blessing, and comment below, "I've outgrown who I was. I am unshakable." Because the man who needs nothing attracts everything. Train your mind, master your emotions, rule yourself.